Vidyut Jammwal and you're watching me on X-Ray. Please welcome our next guest, who's commonly known as Ginger Ninja Trickster. He's an authentic martial artist. He's a third Dan in kickboxing. He's a third degree in ITF Taekwondo and a first degree in WTF Taekwondo. A real martial artist, a trainer and a master. Welcome our man, Haider.
Hello.
So welcome to the show, X-Ray. It's a great honor to have you. I genuinely believe that you're an authentic martial artist.
Oh, I appreciate that.
The tricking that you do and the way you teach people, you can tell that this guy has given his life for martial arts. And that's what resonated with me. And I had to speak to you, man.
Thank you.
The way you train is the way people should be trained. I watch a lot of people who do tutorials, but the kindness with which you train is very, very good, man.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you saying all these nice things.
So when did you start?
I started when I was actually 15, properly. I did about 6 to 9 months when I was younger, but I didn't really count that because I kind of just went on to something else. I used to be pretty good at football, so I used to like playing that. And then I got back into martial arts at 15 and never looked back. So the main thing though before that was football. That's what I was really into. That's why I kind of made videos where I do martial arts mixed with football.
Do you think it's important for everybody in their lifetime to experience being a martial arts student?
Yeah, well, I don't think I would do half the things that I do if we went for martial arts. And I don't mean physically, I mean mentally. Like in school, I was so nervous. I couldn't do interviews. Like I wouldn't be able to speak to people in front of people properly. And then I think martial arts kind of just helped me grow in confidence, made me more comfortable with myself. And then I was able to kind of put it on a bigger stage. I was always sociable, so I wasn't completely quiet in school. But if you asked me to stand up in front of everyone and do a speech, I'd be shaking and messing up.
Look at you now, all the confidence you have.
It built up. It took a while, but I got there. Yeah, but that wouldn't have happened if we weren't for martial arts. And especially from doing YouTube videos, because within a couple of months, I did a seminar, which is basically just down the road in Swansea. And then my next seminar was in Michigan, in the United States. So I had to develop really fast because it was like, I'm used to teaching, but now I have to just do it to some completely strangers in a different country. So I had to develop the confidence pretty quickly. So I was kind of blagging here at the beginning, and then I gained the confidence then by going away and just doing different shows, speaking to more people, all that sort of thing.
Aaron, because being a martial artist myself, and I believe that anybody in the world who genuinely enjoys being a martial artist must have watched one of your videos.
Thank you.
It's impossible that anybody who loves to kick, punch, jump, flip, or tricking has not been on your channel. So I had to have you on my show, and that's what makes me very happy, that I would like you to be introduced to everybody in India to see what hard work can make a very young man like you achieve. And you will inspire a lot of people in my country and across the globe.
I never thought it'd go to that scale. This is mental. Like what I just put a video up, just kind of showing some skills, and then some people asked for tutorials, and then all of a sudden it just blew up. So I was not expecting anything. The main reason I actually started YouTube was for my students, just to encourage my students to try new things and play around. But the main thing was to use both legs. So my first video was doing 540 kicks with both legs. And then I wanted it just to inspire the students, just to say, look, don't just use one of your legs, use both. And then people started asking for tutorials, and then it just went crazy. So it's mad.
I get a lot of messages from across the globe to ask me, where can I learn Kalaripayattu from, the martial art that I do?
Yep.
So my question to you is, imagine I have no idea about martial arts, but I have watched this guy called Aaron on YouTube, right? Do you really think that people can learn a true skill by just watching and emulating on YouTube? Or do we need to go to a university or a school to learn?
Well, I think with that, I think it's more of a tool and a guidance. But if you haven't got access to something, then it's all you have. So it's better than nothing for one. But also, if you can already do something or you've got an instructor, it's a good guidance to kind of correct it and change it to a different way to develop as well. So I think for those people that have never had access or will not have access, it's amazing because at least they've got something they can play around. And for the people that have got access, it just kind of points them in the right direction with some mistakes they might be making. Why are they falling over when they're doing this kick? All that sort of stuff. So, you know, I think it's a good tool, but it should coincide with an instructor because there's no better way. Like people say I do decent tutorials, but when I'm in person with them, it's so much easier because I can say, oh, your shoulder's out of place. So you're pushing your hips forward. That's why you're traveling. It's so much easier to correct and change things. So I think for, you know, if you want to get to, you know, the peak of what you're capable of doing, it's good to have that guidance from a coach in person. But then afterwards, you might want to think, oh, hang on a minute, what did he say to me? And you've then got the tutorials for reference to help you develop in your own time as well. So that's the way I kind of put it. So it's best to have both.
No, I have so many important questions to ask you as somebody who would like to learn so much more. So I will ask you things just the way anybody else who doesn't know anything would like to know. And you're the right person to be giving these answers.
I'll try my best.
You know, the funny thing is I heard what you said about the way people should train. They should get a trainer to start with or a sparring partner. But a very interesting thing that came to my mind was in the Indian history, there's a story of one of the best teachers or the guru called Dronacharya. Mm-hmm. And he was the best of that time. And he had one of the king's son who was one of the best students ever. And he guided him throughout his journey, and he was an archer, and he was the best. Nobody could beat him. So there was another guy called Eklavya who went to him and he said, Master, if you could just train me. And the master, because he used to just train the kings or the princes, he didn't train him. So this man, Eklavya, made a picture of him, like a statue of him, and in front of him, like the YouTube channel, started practicing everything that he had watched them teach. Mm-hmm. Interesting, isn't it? So when these guys, the teacher and the king, they were in the forest, went hunting, they saw that an animal had been attacked by an arrow and the animal's mouth was open and there were 100 arrows in the mouth. So the master looked at him and he said, hey, who can do this? Nobody else but my only disciple can. So this boy came in the front and he said, I have done it. And he said, who's your teacher? And he said, sir, you are my teacher. He said, I watched you and I just thought everything, I felt everything. So for me, when he was saying YouTube could be something like that if really somebody has all the desire and interest.
With saying that, I do agree with you because I live in Wales, which is next to England, but we have no access. Well, we didn't. Now we have a little bit, but we had no tricking community whatsoever when I first started. No one did flips. It was only gymnasts that did obviously the flips, but there was no hybrid kind of martial artists doing extreme tricks and flips. So I actually watched there's all Belang videos. I don't know whether you remember those if you watched them yourself. But I saw them and I was just like, wow, what is this? And then I seen some capoeira performers and then I was just like, I'm going to do this. I don't care. So I just ran in my gym and just tried front flips. So I end up teaching myself. So when I do tutorials, it's based on kind of my experience with it, but also it's like, don't do that. I tried doing that.
Yes,
I fell on my butt loads of times. Now I'm going to save you 2 months of heartache falling over with just this tip. Done. You know what I mean? So I think you're right. And when Weber it does take longer, I think when you watch someone, you can emulate them and you can really analyze them and see how they're doing something. But it will take you longer if that person doesn't guide you, or if they know what they're talking about, because there's some people that can do things and can't explain. But I think if they can, it's good to have them there because you will learn so much faster and it'll take you less effort, less time, and less pain, basically, falling over. So, yeah, I agree. Like, you can make yourself do something because I did it myself. Like, in Wales, we had no access, and I learned corkscrews, all that stuff, just from watching people and seeing, how is he doing that? Well, let's see his foot positioning. Let's see how he's using his arms. And I would just watch, and then I try and learn just from a video, but they wouldn't be explaining it. So that's why I wanted then to make tutorials so people could learn faster, basically, and get the move that they wanted.
Dude, I watch you and I really love everything you do, man. The way you train and the ability you have. Very few people in the world do what you do. And I know you know that. And I keep watching you and you keep working on your skills and you keep working on it. And it's quite impressive, man.
I know you do one of the oldest martial arts, right? Is it?
Yes.
Kalaripayattu?
It's the most ancient martial arts.
We should train in person. That would be amazing. I'd love to give it a go. I like to do
come to my country. I would love you to be introduced to the mother or the seed of everything. It is the big bang of martial arts. The philosophy, the theory behind it. I would love you to, because you already self-evolved and you've trained yourself on your own. You should come and we should do something together.
Oh, definitely. I'm definitely up for that. That'd be really cool. We could trade some knowledge, have a little bit of fun. It'd be good.
India is a very, very, very big country. And India, like you said, you live in Wales. We have places in India where network is not so easily available. But the talent that comes out of these small towns and these cities is brilliant. Somebody like you who's just watched something and just got it right? So I want to ask you, one of the most frequently asked questions to me is, sir, I'm 45 years old and I love to do martial arts and I've never done anything like that. Do you think, what's your opinion, Aaron, that is there an age to start all this?
It depends on your goals. I think you got to be like realistic with your goals. So like if let's say you wanted to start training and you're 70 years old, you're not going to be doing flips or anything like that at 70, especially if you haven't done anything before. So I think it's just having
let's talk 70, let's talk 40.
Yeah, 40, yeah. Even then, it's a little bit more difficult.
But it's not impossible.
As long as you set yourself realistic goals and then build on top of them, it's good. Otherwise, you get disheartened so fast. So like if you started at 40 and you go, I want to learn a 720 hook kick. It's like, okay, what have you done before? Nothing. Okay, maybe you want to learn the basics. Get some basics right first. Get the basics, build yourself up. Your main goal might be that 720, even at 40. But you need the basics because if you haven't got the foundation, you're more prone to injury. And if you're older, you're even more prone to injury. So it's less forgiving as you get older. It's less forgiving. So if you're 15 and you're trying stuff, your body's still developing. You can get an injury and you can easily, a couple of weeks later, you'll be fine. Whereas when you're 40, if you get an injury, that's going to put you out for a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months, maybe, whatever the injury is. So I think it's all about just, if you do that, just be realistic, start with your basics, build up, and then set yourself realistic goals. And then eventually you'll go to a point where you didn't realize you could get to. Because that's what happened with me. I started at 15 and I was terrible at flexibility. Like I was struggling to touch by my knees, so I was really bad at hamstring flexibility. And then all of a sudden it's just get further and further. And it's just having them goals. If you said you'd be able to do all the splits, you'd be able to do splits on chairs, you'd be able to do this, I'd be like having a laugh, So it's just one of those things that you have those little goals and then suddenly they become into crazy goals. I'm sure like with you like rock climbing as well, don't you?
I do.
So it's like, so you'll probably start yourself, right? I just want to achieve getting up this thing. And then you'll go, I want to get up this thing faster. It's just like anything.
Aaron, with me, the rock climbing experience was so humbling, man. So I had just released one of my movies called Commando 1. And I went with a friend of mine to China to rock climb because I wanted to do something new. And I thought, I'm so strong, I'm so muscular, I have all this strength. So I go with the group and I reached the mountain. We were deep in the jungles of China. And I said, let me just I don't want to use the harness, I'll just climb. I do stunts, I don't use harness. I could not move more than 3 or 4 meters above of me, man. And that's when I realized that there are different muscles for different things. There's a different neuromuscular connection. And then slowly, steadily, months after months, like after 2 or 3 years, I really got a hang of what rock climbing is. Mm-hmm. So it takes
I've tried rock climbing. It's harder than people think. It's fun though. It is fun. It's challenging. But once you finish rock climbing, the amount of like little muscles and your flexation of your hands and all that sort of thing you didn't realize could happen. And then at the end of it, my hands were literally like this. They were stuck.
My forearms couldn't move, man. My forearms the first week was crazy. I just realized I have no strength as compared to what I thought I did.
Yeah, it's mad. It's just a different area, like you said. It's like if you do like fixed weights, for example, you're only in this position. And soon if you grapple a person, it's like, oh, where's my strength gone? It's just one of those things.
So going back to something that I asked you, this is for all the people who are 40 or 50 and have never done a kick. Aaron, the greatest master on YouTube. Now you tell me. But there's a 40-year-old man and he says, I have never done it and I'm ready to give it as much time as it takes to learn a 720 kick. Can you train him?
Yep.
So that means there's no age for really learning if somebody really wants to learn, right? It might take a while.
Yeah, it just depends on their history, obviously. If they've got injuries and things, it's just going to take them longer, It depends on what they've been through in their life already as well. So if they're like a fit and healthy 40-year-old, then obviously it's going to be achieved faster. But if they've got knee problems, back problems, and things like that, it's going to be longer. So it just depends on the person. That's why you can never give like people say to me, how long will it take to learn this move? I was like, well, it depends on you, really. It depends how quick you pick something up. You might learn a harder move faster because your body relates to it more. It might be a basic move. Like I know black belts that they've been training 4 or 5 years, and their side kick is still not in line. They can do a side kick fully in line, and that's all around the world. It's not just in one place. I've been to America, and it's exactly the same. I've been over to Italy, France, everywhere, and there's black belts there that they just can't get that side kick. But then if you ask them to do a jump spin hook kick, they can do it perfectly. So it's just one of those things. Side kick's considered basic, but the amount of people that can actually do it correctly, it depends obviously on who you are and how you feel with it. It just depends on the person. But I do believe like any 4-year-old could get up to a 720 level as long as they stayed injury-free and trained for a good period of time. Yeah, no problem at all.
So this is for all the people who ask me that, sir, I'm a certain age and can I do it? In Aaron's words, if you are the person who can, you will be able to.
I think if you're willing to work at it, then yeah, it's just one of those things. But yeah, but the thing is, if I just said if a person come in and said, oh well, I get a 720, I'm like, you can get it, but then they go, oh great, I can get it. Then all of a sudden they won't get it because they're just thinking, oh, I can just plod along and do the usual and I'll get it. You've got to work your butt off. You can't just say, oh, he said I could do it, so that means in 3 months or 4 months I'll be able to at least attempt this. It ain't going to happen. You've got to have that mentality to also pursue that goal. So it depends on the person because they might have terrible motivation. They might not, I'll train 3 days solid and then all of a sudden I'll have 2 months off. So
for all the people in India, because after this show you will have a lot of people watching you, following you, enjoying your training sessions. For everybody who doesn't know what a trickster is, can you explain?
Well, for me, like a trickster was building upon martial arts and go into a more fanciful, playful extreme. You've got the extreme, obviously, fighting side, which you're going down the other road. I like to say, like, martial arts normally sits in the middle. It gets a bit fanciful. You got your jump, spin, hook kicks, which, can work, but they're not really for fighting, And then it goes. You can go down the other end of complete fighting, where you're not doing any spin kicks or whatever. You're just fighting for solid. You're conditioning. That's going down that end. And then the other end of the spectrum is going to fanciful, playful movements that just test your physicality, what you can do with your body. So I think a tricker is a person that can just develop more on top of what they can do with their martial arts and then go take it more to a playful level where they include other styles or other disciplines. It could be you incorporate breakdancing. Could be you want to add the gymnastic element. You can go into different martial arts that are a bit more flash. You can capoeira style, all that sort of stuff. A wushu, So these martial arts are already kind of, I think wushu and capoeira float more towards that playful, fun side. And then I think tricking then has gone to the full extreme of just saying, well, what can we do? Hey, what can we do with our bodies to have fun? But then you get the hardcore martial arts then go, oh, that won't work. It was like, well, I didn't say it was going to work. All I'm doing is challenging my body. If I can do a 720 hook kick, do you really think, can I spin hook kick you? Yes, I can, because it's a lot easier to do a spin hook kick. So it's just how you want to test yourself and how you want to develop.
There are a lot of tricksters or people who do tricks are not really martial artists. What they do is they do a lot of repetition of what they watch and they perform it. What is the difference between somebody like us, who's authentic, who've given their lives from a very young age, to somebody who's beautiful, who just does everything remarkably well? Do you think there's a difference between these two species?
I think there is, but the end premise of it all is we're all...
I'll make it simple for you. So if there's a trickster who's really very good, but who's not an authentic martial artist, or who's never fought in a ring, or who's never got into a fight.
If he doesn't mention he's not a martial artist and he's not trying to be a martial artist, all he's doing is just having fun with his body and testing it to the limits, right? So he's not claiming to...
If you put them together, do you think the guy who's done martial artists will have more impressive kicks in real life on a street fight? Or it will be the same?
Definitely. No, definitely. Like if they're trained martial arts, like for example, like when I do tricking, I always find, and this is what a lot of people say about my style, if I'm kicking in the air, they look at it and they go, if that hit me, that's going to hurt. But not only is it going to hurt, I would still be able to keep my balance, and I'd be able to go through. I'd be able to go through you. I wouldn't lose my balance. Whereas I find some trickers, they're not martial artists, which is fine. They're just testing their body. But if they did like their spins and they put their leg out to kick someone, they're either going to damage their foot because it's the wrong position, or they're going to fall over because they're not used to any resistance. So definitely is a difference. So I don't think there's any way of disputing that. Like a martial artist, like I can kick something really hard and damage something. I can kick something with speed. I can kick something for fun. So I got all those elements because I've trained those. Whereas they're going to only have the one. They kick the air all the time. Have they ever kicked a pad? No. So they're not going to know what it feels like. And if they hit a person, it's going to be completely different to whatever they're used to. But if you're training to kick shields, pads, people all the time, then yeah, I know I can kick a person and damage them if I wanted to. They're not going to know that, and they're not going to have the confidence to do that either. So there's definitely a difference. But it depends what they're portraying. If they were just doing tricking and then they were claiming to be a martial artist, then that's a problem, I think, because they're kind of separating it. Whereas I like to, I separate it myself. I go, right, this is my martial arts stuff. This is the realistic stuff that work. This is what's going to hurt someone if I need to. This is my playful stuff that makes me develop as a person and make me physically stronger, faster, all that sort of stuff. Or makes me just have fun. But I put them in two different boxes. And I think that's what I get annoyed about probably the most, is where people go, oh, well, that's not going to work in a real fight. I didn't say it was going to work in a real fight. True. This is me challenging my body. This is the realistic stuff where I used to, if I needed to fight somebody, this is what I would use.
One of the most frequently asked questions to me is, sir, I want to do a 180-degree split. I want to do a full split. How long will it take me? I'm sure people ask you the same question.
Yeah, all the time.
Can you please do me this favor and explain to my lovely people that, is there an answer to it?
It goes back to what we were saying earlier. Like, you cannot give a time scale. You can give like a rough time scale. You know, if they're working hard and doing all the things, like if I was teaching them, I could give probably a decent time scale if they, by age, you know, if it's a young kid that's training and they're training their butt off, they're working really hard as they could, within 6 months, they'll get a split. That's if they're training. But then there's other factors that come into play. You know, they could have injuries, they could have learning difficulties. There could be loads of different things that make that little progression a little bit longer. Then age comes into play. You might have not done any sports and you've stiffened up. So what we were talking about earlier, it takes longer as you get older because, you know, you haven't conditioned your body to do those things. Whereas a youngster, you're running around, you're climbing trees, you're doing all these stuff. So you're actually quite flexible already and you're not grown. So your muscles are still elongating. So it's easy for you to develop those things.
Do you concur with the idea of the monks, the way they train these young kids? They will have two people holding the legs, split it wide open, give them pain. Do you like that formula, or you like to take it easy?
I think that's going to the extreme, isn't it? So it depends on the person, really. Like, I would have loved my dad to have made me... I look back and at the time I was going, God, this is hard. I do everything double. Like, if there was an odd number in class, I'd do everything twice. But at the time I'm thinking, God, this is hard. I'm doing double everyone. And then my dad would be going, right, you can do another set. And I'm like, 3? I'm doing double these already and you want me to do more? But then I look back and I think, geez, my dad really pushed me. He made me, like, because I could do it. He was like, well, what else can you do? Can you do more? Come on, give me more. I don't want you to be comfortable at this level and just plateau. And he's like trying to force me to go to the next level, but in a good way. He's not, you know, wrenching my legs like you're saying.
Your father's done a great job. I love what I see, and I love the respect you for him. I love the respect you have for him.
But Dad's my hero, so.
Master, so please, I bow down to him, and please say great respect, great regards to him, man.
you've been doing martial arts since you were really young, haven't you? Since you were 3, wasn't it? Or something I heard before?
Yes, I was fortunate enough to be born in a family where we do the Indian martial arts. Just like your father is a trained martial artist, I grew around people who were trained and who wanted to excel.
He's giving me the
ever been in a real street fight? I know the answer has to be yes. A martial artist never in a street fight, impossible, but have you?
Yes, I have. I've had a few fights, unfortunately. I live in Wales, Newport, and it's not a very nice place for outsiders, I guess. So yeah, it's a bit like, I've had friends come from like London here, and they're like, "Geez, place is a bit sketchy," which means like it's a bit rough.
Yes.
I don't like to start them, and I try and end fights before they even start with talking and, you know, all that sort of stuff. But there's been points where, you know, people are drunk, you know, and they just want to fight, you know. So, and then you've just got to be able to defend yourself. So unfortunately, I've been in a couple of positions where I've had to defend myself, and, you know, some of them have not ended well for them. There was one, I elbowed this person in the face, but it would end up really bad for me because I almost got into a lot of trouble then with the police. So it was, eventually it was saying that, basically it was trying to say that I used more force than I should have, but end up being all okay. But for a year of my life, I was really panicking and worried about it, because obviously if you get any record or anything like that, then I can't fly to these countries and do different things. So is it worth it a lot of the time? Like, I look at some people and they really deserve a hiding, you know? And you're looking at them and you're thinking, I'm going to lose everything if I just hit you. So I got to leave this. And then they're thinking, oh, they're the big I am. But you're like, you know, I'm not that I can take on everyone. You know, I'm not saying I can fight the world. You know, there's always someone harder than you. So I'm not trying to say I'm hard or anything like that. But you look at some people and they're really pushing you, and you're like, geez, I really want to hit you right now. And, you know, take a swing, come on, because I'll give you it. But then you're thinking, I could lose everything. You know, all the stuff I built with my family, all that sort of stuff can end in one technique. So it's really bad. So now that almost happened. You know, I almost had GBH for elbowing someone in the head. And I think it was more so how they fell on the floor. So, because they were knocked out, they hit their head on the floor. So that was a bit of a dark time for me.
I was watching this very interesting documentary called The One Punch Kill.
Yeah, I've watched that. It's really interesting.
I tell you, for people like us, it makes us even more scared of getting into a street fight or a brawl, because you don't want to be a part of that, man, because the chances are very high. Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree. Is it worth it in the end? It's not. You know, if you're in a really bad situation where you've got to fight and you let's say you're pinned in an alley and the person's got a knife and you have no choice, then you're going to have to do something. You get what I mean? You can't do nothing. But if someone pulled out a knife and I've got an option to run, I'm going to run. You know, it's easier to do that. Well, you know, everyone always thinks there's the problem with some of the movies, because they see Bruce Lee and someone pulls out a knife and he kicks the knife out of their hand and all of a sudden, you know, he beats them up. So they got to, this is what I'm on about with the fanciful stuff. You've got to have the reality base. Most people are, you know, if you're in a knife fight, you're going to get sliced. You know, even professionals, they get sliced. They might know how to minimize it. But more than likely, even if you know what you're doing, you'll still get a slice somewhere. It just won't be as obviously bad as if you didn't know your stuff. So, yeah, I just think, you know, all fighting is not worth it.
No, for sure, man. You know, recently I'd gone for a function in Mumbai, and the journalist asked me, Vidyut, you're a top martial artist, and why do you need a bodyguard? And I have to tell the journalist that the bodyguard is to save these guys from me, because if they annoy me, I will have to jump at them. And I really mean it. They have to get it. We've trained since the time we remember. And my first reflex is, honestly, if somebody gives me shit, I will give it back to them. But then you have to stop yourself and you have to like...
But it's also, they take the heat for you. It's obviously, if you've got people there that can sort it out for you, one, you don't need to get into the altercation.
Yes, of course.
Two, you don't get the problems that come with it. So like if you end up like the one punch, boom, it's the concrete, dead, you're obviously done for manslaughter. That's a big problem for you. So it's a better way of dealing with it anyway. I just think no fighting's worth it. When I was young, I used to fight everyone, you know?
My favorite thing was to get out of my house and fight, man.
Yeah, when you're young, I think it's just that thing you want to prove yourself, or you want to stand up for yourself, all that sort of thing.
I wanted to just test myself. Everything I trained in, somebody said something. I'm talking about I was much younger. And then after a certain age, when you start growing up with boys who, because they're your best friends and you want to fight for them, we've gone through this. And I think it changes a lot over the years. I'm sure it's done for you, that you just know how to not get into it.
Yeah, the good thing is I know a lot of people in Newport now, so I'm very comfortable. So like, I teach a lot of them as well, and also people know me from what I do, and we've taught doormen, all that sort of thing. We've got bouncers, so we go into the clubs. We know the bouncers. We already have got that good rapport with everybody. So it's very difficult. It's normally just the odd idiot that just has had too much to drink or a bad life or whatever, or something that's gone on, and they just want to take it out on somebody. They're the only people really to worry about. So every time I go out, which is not, to be honest, I don't really go out that much anymore, but it's just being vigilant and also not letting yourself go. So if the person does drink, like if you drink alcohol, then it obviously lowers your senses and everything as well. So when I go out, I tend not to drink as much now if I do drink. After that incident happened with me, I didn't drink for over a year. I made sure, like, every time I went out, I was perfectly coherent. I'm like, if I go out and there's something going to start, I know I'm not going to get hot-headed. Because I think if you have a drink as well, you're like, yeah, I'll just knock him out, or whatever. You get into that kind of mindset. So when you think more rationally, you go, okay, I could lose everything. Let's just talk this out. Done. Like if you stand on someone's foot by accident, before it'd be like, oh, it's just an accident, mate, calm down. Now it would be like, okay, sorry, mate, let me just buy you a drink. It's all good. It'd be one of those things. But then if you have a few drinks, you stand on his foot and you go, what? And you go, come on in, let's go.
With my experiences of having a fight at a bar or otherwise, I think the most difficult person to fight is a complete drunk, not like a man who's high or really high. Yeah. I have tried to slap them, put them down on the floor. They just are, they're just unbelievable. And hence I think the drunkard style is one of the most famous styles, which I've done a video on it on the social media once. I was shooting for a movie. And I genuinely believe to fight a drunk man, drunk, is very difficult, man. You punch them, they don't get hit.
I think it just depends how drunk they are. If they're too drunk, they knock themselves out.
I don't know. Do you choreograph too?
Yeah, I do choreography.
Tell me about Wonder Woman.
Yeah, well, Wonder Woman, I got into that through my good friend Mark, a Shake Chef. He's a stunt coordinator. That was, I think, one of his first stunt coordinating jobs. And he said, oh, I can get you on Wonder Woman, because I already worked on Eliminators with Scott Adkins, which was my first stunt performing thing with him. And he then said, oh, just come on to this. I can get you on there for 2 weeks. You can have some fun, learn some of the stuff. I was like, yeah, great, really up for that. So I came on for 2 weeks, and it was a joint production, so it was an American team as well. So after 2 weeks, I went to the American team, and I said, oh, goodbye, thanks for having me. I really appreciate, having me for these 2 weeks. I've learned a lot. And he basically just said, what the F are you talking about? I was like, it's 2 weeks are up now. I'm supposed to be gone. He's like, nah, you can stay. You're doing good. I was like, oh, okay. And then I ended up working on there for 9 months. So it was crazy. And then from that, from Wonder Woman, I think I went away to do an American tour teaching. And once I was away, I got called by Brad Allen then to work on Kingsman 2. So literally 2 years of my life just kind of just blew up. And then from Kingsman 2, I went into the Badlands season 2. So that was the 2 years just when it just ate up. I think I was home for 2-3 weeks. Lucky
man. People who get to work are really lucky, man. Yes, I
mean, talk about you more. I want to know about, obviously, the commando scenes. I think you did a fight scene with one of my friends, actually, Nathan Barris.
What did he say about me? Praise the Lord. Tell me.
No, he actually showed me the fight scene. I was when I was working on into the Badlands, because he worked on that as well, and he was showing me the fight scene at that time, and I was like, I've seen this fight before. And then when I noticed on YouTube, I was like, oh God, it's that one. We're talking, was that 5-6 years ago now? I saw it.
Yeah.
So it's mad. That's from Commando 1, I think, wasn't it?
That's from Commando 1.
I'd love to be involved in some of the projects, for sure.
You'll have to dance. Bollywood.
Dance. I haven't got very good rhythm, but I'll give it a go.
How is it that you don't have good rhythm? Unbelievable. Show me a move. The Bollywood wants to see a move.
I got martial arts rhythm. I think that's about it. I can twerk. That's about it.
Tell me something about pop culture.
Pop culture?
Yeah.
In terms of what? Would you mean music?
No. So he has a series called The Spider-Man. And whether you're a kid, whether you're a young man, old man, you have to watch what he does with it. Tell me anything about it. It's incredible. It's funny. It's creative. It's articulate. It's got strength. Explain.
Well, the funny thing about that was I was training tricking in Bristol with my friend, and he come in with the Spider-Man outfit on. And he said, I've got this party in 5 days, something like that. He said, I've got to do all these flips and stuff for the kids, get them all excited. It's cool. I said, can I borrow that? And he just said, yeah, as long as you bring it back before I have to do this party. I was like, okay, cool. So I borrowed the Spider-Man outfit, and over the weekend, I just thought, let's just make it funny, do little crawls and stupid stuff, but then also some of the crazy fun stuff. And then I made the video, and then it just blew up. So it was just one of those things I actually did for a laugh, and it was just kind of off cuff with my friend. I just thought this will be fun. And then it just blew up. Then I did some Tekken videos, all that sort of stuff. So I like kind of acting of characters that I like Hwarang, obviously because of the ginger hair and stuff as well. So it's just really cool. So I like to basically just play as those characters and emulate their moves. Like you're talking about emulating different stuff, because I can already do things with my body now. I can watch a character and then go, I can just change this and do this. I can do what he does. This is cool. So I did that then with Hwarang, and then I thought I'd copy some Spider-Man moves and made up some of my own, all that sort of stuff, just playing around.
So everybody who's just watching this show, I would love you to go on his YouTube channel, because he imparts great knowledge in the Indian martial art, Kalaripayattu. A martial art exponent has to know everything about the human body, whether they use a weapon, whether they do gymnastics, acrobats, the breath. He's one of the few people who I watch and I see him master everything. So anybody who has any interest in any kind of martial arts, to start a skill, to learn a skill, I think Aaron is the right man. I enjoy watching your...
I think the thing is as well is you're just constantly developing. Like I don't ever see like the end point. Like I always think I can better myself where I am at the moment, or if I get injured, then I'm thinking of I can level up again. So it's just one of those things. I think every good, decent martial artist have always got that mentality. They don't really know everything. Like we were talking about learning Kalaripayattu.
Kalaripayattu, yes.
Yep. Like I'm open to learning new things and playing around. You know what I mean? So I never go, I'm not learning that because of this. I got this already. You're always thinking about, what else can I have a play with? This is new. This is cool. So a martial artist is always constantly developing anyway. So my tutorials, for example, as well, if I did new tutorials on ones that I did 3 years ago, there's going to be different information. There's going to be more. There might be another little thing that I found out, so it's meant like you just still develop. And most of the time it's students, because you have to find a way to help them develop. And you're like, God, I've told him everything and he's still falling on his butt. Okay, right. I've got to find a way to help him get better through something that I haven't learned yet. So it's like, okay, what is wrong? That's wrong. There it is. His hip is making him fall over. And then I've got that little pointer then to add. So it's just one of those things. I think as long as I don't think, master is a big kind of thing. I think master is just the time of dedication that you've put in. But I think a true master in whatever they do is always thinking of developing and helping progress, where in any way that they can. Because as you get older, you might not be able to do, those things anymore, but I could still give the information that would help those people. So I that's why I think a true martial artist is not a master, just a martial artist as a whole.
True. Of course, man. The first time I wanted to try a 540 kick, and I thought, if I do a 540, I'm done. I'll be so cool. And the moment you are about to finish your 540 is the 720, which you want to do. And the moment you're about to finish your 720, you want to do the 900. This journey, I love. You just don't You know what I'm saying? So I love that part.
The variation. So you could like, even if you wanted to keep it more basic, let's say you're doing the tornado kick, 360 roundhouse, you could then just change the actual tornado side kick, tornado hook kick, tornado twist kick. You know, there's so many ways to play with it. And, you know, I do doubles with that. Like I do tornado twist to side kick. I do tornado round hook, hook round. So there's just ways of just challenging your body to another level. You're never going to use it on a person, but it's fun. You know, it's great to do.
I love the way you've diversified everything. You call tricking a different thing than the martial arts. I see the differentiation in it. So when you shoot a movie, how do you train? Like when you were on Wonder Woman or the rest of them, like when do you take out time to train?
It depends on what I'm doing. I try and like focus on what, like if it was a more gritty fighting movie, then I'd be more focused on just getting the more, to be honest, even emulating some bad actual movements just to make it look more like a swing, all those sorts of stuff, so it looks better for a movie. Because if we're thinking boom like this doesn't look good on camera. It's got to be a wide swing, so you've got to completely change it. Same with kicks, you know. If I was to hook kick someone in the head and I'm trying to fight them, the hook kick's going to come out probably about by here and it's going to hit you straight in the head. But on a movie, the hook kick's going to come out over here and then be nice and wide and go all the way through. So it just depends on the movie and the style they're going for as well. And then normally I try to, if I can, you know, especially if I know the person, I'll speak to the fight arranger or coordinator to let me know kind of how they want it. And then I'll be like, okay, I'll just train that way. That's cool. No problem. So then I'm ready. I don't do the big movements if they don't want to. I can shorten it up. So it just depends what they want. Normally it's bigger movements and slower movements for camera so they can pick it up. Because if you kick full speed, you know, normally they film at 24 frames per second. You know, if you do a hook kick, you know, and you're blitzing right, they're like, where did that kick go? I didn't even see that kick. So it's got to tell the story. So it depends on what we're doing. Now, if I'm training, you know, if I got someone coming and I know I'm going to spar the person, then I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to train my sparring a little bit. If I got more of a flip project coming up, then I just cater to whatever I'm going to be doing.
With me, I go on the set and you can tell if the person is a martial artist or is he skilled. See, in India, we don't have, like in England, people have to go through this whole rigmarole of being a stuntman. In India, if you are a daredevil and if you can do it, you are a stuntman. But now things have changed. But earlier when I used to be on the set and I knew this guy is going to kick me, for sure, for real. I go to the man and I tell him, you kick me by mistake. The rule is I kick you back with the same strength. And it has never happened because people are so aware and careful. Yeah, but it's much more fun to fight with somebody who's been trained and who enjoys fighting.
Oh, we should get together. I'd love to do a fight scene with you. That'd be amazing.
Have you been to India ever?
I haven't been to India, no. I got invited a couple of times.
It's disgrace that you haven't been to India. People in India watch your videos and, oh my God, you've not been to India. That's sad.
Yeah.
So whenever you come to India, Kalaripayattu welcomes you, and I promise you will enjoy it. I would love to just come and meet you, man, give you a tight hug for the excellent work you're doing. And please
I'd love to set aside a day and we'll train and everything as well. I got all the equipment here. I got all the bobs, I've got everything, so we can just have a laugh. And do some
if I had shut my eyes also, I would have seen this. I live with them. I have 2 in my room, 1 in my living room.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. I love them. This one. That one's my favorite, Bob. Just kind of target areas.
Yeah, he punched his face into a great jawline man. Please tell
everyone says I look like Bob. And I say I look like him.
Yeah. No, he looks better than you. What do you mean by you look like him?
Everyone says I look like him. Look.
Oh, that's your identical twin. Everybody who's watching this show, I would like you to go on his platform. Anything you want to learn, he's an incredible teacher. And for Aaron, I want you to know that anybody from India who messages you, has a question about martial arts, be kind to them, love them, and you will enjoy everybody from India loving you.
Oh,
yes, sir, or yes, sir? But Aaron, thank you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you giving me the time to be on here as well. And it's an honor to meet you as well and speak to you. Hopefully I get to meet you in person in the future.
Anything you want to add? Anything you want to say for your show?
Obviously, hopefully they'll just check out some of the stuff and hopefully they'll help guide them and they can learn some stuff. That would be amazing. So I think it's a win-win. If they go to the channel, I'm sure it's going to help them develop their skills, or if they've already got some skills, I think it'll guide them in a way that hopefully make them even more efficient. So yeah, go check out my channel, have a little look, see what's there.
God bless you, man.
God bless you. Thank you.